Helldivers 2 has taken the internet by storm with a strong release, and hopefully a strong presence in terms of PlayStation releasing their exclusives on PC and PS5 at the same time. Helldivers 2 has actually surpassed the expectations of the developers themselves, which it's always great to see, crossing over 1 million copies being sold. This is a huge win for PlayStation and PC owners because Helldivers 2 is great. It breaks the mold for what live service games are labeled as and creates its own footing with a unique style. I'll be breaking down my entire experience with Helldivers 2 so far, and if the game is worth the $40 price tag. Also, if you're new here, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more gaming content. The support is always much appreciated. So let's get right into it. Helldivers 2 was a game that I was a little skeptical about when hearing about it. Now, I never played the first game, but I did know that it was more of a bird's eye view instead of third person like the sequel. Live service games usually scream bad at me when I do see them. There are a few that work and do it right, but anymore it just seems that developers or publishers are out of touch with the fan base with live service games. I'm looking at you, Halo Infinite, but to my surprise, Helldivers 2 was a great breath of fresh air and proof that live service games can work. I haven't had any issues with crashing, although I do know there have been people online talking about their issues with that, but I've had none of it. Not saying that just because I'm not having those issues, then that means it isn't happening. I'm just discussing my experiences this far. I haven't had any glitches either, but I have had plenty of bugs.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I know, that was bad, but I had to do it. Speaking of bugs though, for anyone watching because they're on the fence about this game, I'll explain why this game is as addicting as what people are saying. The concept of the game is liberating these planets from terminids. Those are the bug-like creatures and the automatons, or robots. When you play the game and complete missions and side missions, your progress is dumped into the overall progress of the community of players to liberate planets. Now, I really like this because it actually feels like everything is happening in real time, like a live service game should actually be. There is a shop to purchase monetized money, to purchase skins on their shop, or an upgraded battle pass like system. However, there is a free battle pass that players can use, and surprisingly it has more content than the paid battle pass, or what the game calls requisitions. You earn these tokens after completing missions to unlock tile-like items for weapons, armor, emotes, and much more. The best part about the monetization of this game, you can actually earn the monetized currency in-game and unlock it in the requisitions pages, while also collecting it in the world while doing missions. It really makes you feel like you're playing an older game, and what I mean by that is where you have to actually play more to earn more. It was such a great decision to do that, and I respect the developers even more for that. They even came out and said that they have to earn the monetization for this game. There is so much to upgrade in this game as well, ranging from your ship, your arsenal, and changing your guns and armor. You can play this game completely solo or with up to 3 other players. Playing solo is a lot more challenging, especially on higher difficulties. And speaking of difficulties, there are 9 different ones, starting with easy and ending with Helldive. Trust me, it continues to get harder too, but it scales great in my opinion. I always feel like I'm being pushed to be better at the game and not make as many mistakes the deeper into this game that I get. All of these mechanics and implemented systems sound great, but the question is this game actually fun? That question is clearly subjective, but I think it's tons of fun and I'm enjoying it very much. Again, I'm not a huge fan of live service games, but this game does that right, and so much more. The way that the guns feel when you're calling in air support, completing objectives, acquiring samples and currency for upgrades. It's very addicting and keeps me glued to the game for hours at a time, because the developers have created something that a lot of live service games don't really get right, and that's a fun game loop. There's just something so satisfying about the idea of saving humanity from a large group of bugs or robots and being humanity's last line of defense, because everything feels so dramatic and cinematic in the moment, with explosions, gunfire, acid spitting bugs, and just insane amounts of enemies in waves. One of my favorite mechanics in this game is the way you call in support, respawning allies, or calling in better guns. You have to hold an action button, then input the correct directional combination, then throw down this laser-like ball. This will either have your supply or guns land where you threw it, or have the air support attack directly where you threw that. The best part, if you're not careful, you can kill yourself or your allies too. So you have to be careful and plan ahead, and also be mindful of your surroundings while being familiar with what you're throwing down. Also, if you mess up the combination of those directional inputs, you have to start over. Believe me, it's very stressful when there's a bug or robot wave right behind you and you're trying to call in air support, but you continue to mess up frantically. I like this a lot, and it adds a lot to the weight of the already intense situations that this game puts the players in. And honestly, Helldivers 2 is the master of punishing you if you're not paying attention or if you make a mistake. Although it isn't super punishing like a Souls game, obviously, but Helldivers 2 does give the players a pretty good amount of lives to work with for the mission. But if you're not careful, you can quickly burn through those if the mistakes begin to pile up. The player really has to pay attention to keeping track of ammo counts, your cooldown for your air support actions, and when to use them. You have the quick enemies that can sneak up on you, little filler enemies that are easy to take down, massive enemies, armored, and much more. While some of the filler enemies don't hit as hard, everything else can kill you in a blink of an eye. So keeping your distance is a must at all times. I think that the Terminids are an easy enemy to fight overall, comparing to the automatons, which are tougher just in general, due to them being able to shoot bullets, missiles, throw grenades, and a lot more. The bugs mostly follow you, while some have the option to spit bile and, surprise surprise, kill you almost instantly. It almost makes it seem like you're playing two different games at times, since both types of enemies require different ways to attack or approach them. And to be honest, I love that as well, because if you get too tired of one of them, you can switch to the other and continue working on your overall goals with the community. I think the greatest part about this game is that it's been a very polished and great experience for me this far. Plus, this game never seemed to advertise more than what it actually was. It doesn't try to be something or pretend to be something that it isn't. It throws you right into the madness after the tutorial, so it doesn't take long to even get started. The way that they have everything set up with the progression, and the way that it's executed in a way that feels rewarding and also exciting to try out different things. There are so many different guns that I've yet to unlock, as well as air support and gameplay buffs to unlock as well. And in terms of the $40 price tag, I think it's a great quality and justifiable purchase. I also have to add that I just think this game is wonderful, especially for a $40 price tag. I'm actually very shocked that it isn't $60 or $70. I'm not complaining, but the level of polish, the gameplay, and everything else this game has to offer is something you'd see in a AAA $70 video game. Now, minus a story mode, because it's all just completing tasks, like I've mentioned, or missions. I also tried to see what the budget for Helldivers 2 was, but I haven't had any luck finding that. But if anyone watching this does find that, please let me know in the comments down below. But if you're not fond of grinding out a game for relentless hours, unlocking upgrades through higher tiered samples, money, monetized currency that you can unlock in-game, Helldivers 2 might not be for you. There's also the requirement to be playing online at all times. Even though most of my time has been spent playing solo, that can be a bit frustrating. But again, it's a live service video game, so making note of that is important before buying it, because I did try to log in on the second or third day of the game's release and I couldn't connect to the servers. Not sure if it was down because of the huge wave of people trying to play or if they were maintaining the servers, but either way, that could be a deal breaker for some people. I definitely recommend playing with other people though, even if that means playing with random people, because the game can be very challenging by yourself, and trust me, I can talk from experience. Just another issue that I've had is trying to join other players, but people seem to join me just fine. I'm not really sure what the cause of me failing to join is, but that's really the only issue that I've had with the video game. So all in all, Helldivers 2 is an exceptional game that surprised me a lot. I was expecting a live service cash grab, especially for being $40. But this is definitely a diamond in the rough. The gameplay is great. I actually enjoy the grind this game has to offer, and I can recommend this game because there is so much content in the game already. And believe me, the success of this video game is going to add so much more content in the future. The developers are probably already planning future content with a huge roadmap to release content. Do not be surprised. And also, the developers have teased another faction that could be added to the game, so I expect more content to be added sooner than we think. And also, just a little icing on the cake for me is that it has crossplay between PS5 and PC players. I'm glad to see that it's becoming more of a common occurrence in video games. But these are all of my thoughts and opinions regarding Helldivers 2. For everyone watching, how has your experience been so far? Do you have PTSD from all of the robot encounters yet? Let me me know in the comments down below. Let me know if you're enjoying Helldivers 2. I love hearing everyone's thoughts. And if you haven't watched my previous video about Xbox and their exclusives and my thoughts on Batman Arkham Asylum, click here to watch those videos now. I will be doing a video on the announcement that Xbox makes this week regarding their future, and I'm working on a video about Batman Arkham City, so stay tuned for those. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.